And Julia Manchester, a national political reporter for The Hill, joins us now. Julia, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Mitch.
Now, one of the races we are closely watching, we just mentioned in Florida, Democrats are deciding who will take on Governor Ron DeSantis. What has that campaign been like for the folks that aren't living in Florida and probably seeing daily campaign ads?
It's been very interesting watching this campaign. I'm actually from Florida, and I remember growing up when Charlie Crist was governor, and he was actually a Republican governor of Florida. And of course, he later switched to the Democratic Party, had another run for governor in 2014, lost to Rick Scott, and now he serves in the House of Representatives representing a district in Florida. So this is very much sort of a ploy or an attempt at a political comeback for Charlie Crist against Agricultural Commissioner Nikki Fried, a very outspoken critic of Governor Ron DeSantis. But it looks like Crist, who's very much going by the Joe Biden playbook, he's very much a moderate Democrat, trying to very much present himself as a moderate while at the same time criticizing the direction the Republican Party has gone in. So, if Crist wins this primary, it'll be an interesting showdown between a former governor who many Floridians are very familiar with, and this current governor.
I know, coming from Arizona, I know that the folks there have been very angry at the influx of people from specifically California. They say the state's being Californicated is a term that specifically Kari Lake has been using. Now, something similar has been happening in Florida, where folks from blue states, maybe like New York, have been moving down to Florida. So are we expecting the voter turnout or specifically the split between Democrats and Republicans in that state to have changed because so many moved to Florida during the pandemic?
It's a very good question, and I'm interested to see what that change looks like, because actually a lot of the people who have moved from blue states like New York and so on moved during a time during the pandemic when New York was more shut down than Florida. And we've seen DeSantis and Republicans very much push this message that Florida was always very open and the economy was open. And we know that Florida's economy, regardless of what you thought of DeSantis's pandemic policies, did pretty well and better than states like California or New York, for example. So I think you're going to see Republicans in Florida pushing this narrative that DeSantis has made Florida open for business and has attracted these people to Florida because they say it's a better quality of life.
Now let's move on to New York. It's very interesting. You have a Democratic primary where you have two 30-year Democrats, in Jerry Nadler and Carolyn Maloney, are competing against each other. How did this happen? I know that's redistricting, but how would you allow two Democrats that have been serving in Congress so long to be redrawn in if you're the Democrats?
Well, yeah, it's redistricting, and I think for Democrats it was very unfortunate because these are two very major Democratic heavyweights, both committee chairs, both very well known in the New York area. Polls, I think, have shown Nadler leading over Maloney, and of course Suraj Patel, who has challenged Maloney a number of times in the past, is coming in third. But it's quite interesting, and it's very much split the Democratic Party in a way that we haven't seen lately, because Nadler and Maloney are the epitome of the Democratic establishment. This isn't a progressive versus moderate kind of thing. These are two very similar branded Democrats going head to head. So, the way the district was drawn, it had to, I think in part had to deal with the fact that New York lost a House seat, that everything was reallocated, but very unfortunate for Democrats.
Very unfortunate. Okay, Julia Manchester, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.